So I found that there is some spicy drama going on in the creator world at the moment. A scam, if you will, a kerfuffle, a shenanigans of epic proportions, as the kids would say. You all like your Mr. Beasts and your corpse husbands and all that sort of other nonsense. Well, Coffeezilla, that delightful person who seems to embroil himself in more drama than the average high school student, has found drama. Now, when they say drama, I see content, but I love finding out about other people's suffering and vicariously experiencing it through somebody else's explanation. So let's all get a bit learned together and, without any context, see what this is all about. I mean, it's supposedly a scam of sorts, but I'm led to believe, as a content creator, that all content creators are perfect creatures that would never do anything bad, like sell gamer girl bathwater or cookies that are overpriced for their own cotton gain. No. Why would anyone ever do that? No, that'd be cringe. Why would guys? Something you may not believe. There has never been drama with content creators. Never. Only potential content. Now, why there would... I mean, okay, on a serious note, the only reason why I would ever imagine that you would get sort of scams within the content creation, it's usually a twofold thing. One, you either get you have the bar, right? You have the bar. You have people who are above the bar who scam, who usually are a victim of a second-hand party, like Mr. Beast with Beast Burger, for example. And those who are below the bar, who are scammers, who are aware of their scamming nature and are looking to gain their own financial gain out of other people's suffering. Look at the CSGO shenanigans that happened a couple of years ago with the skins and everything, and especially gambling streamers. There are certain categories of streamers that tend to propagate the upper and lower echelons of this spectrum. The ones who are more authentic, who usually get taken advantage of themselves and then inadvertently end up scamming people, who are the more authentic people who may not have intentionally scammed people, versus those who are less ethical and more likely to do it for their own cotton gain. That's the way I kind of see it. So I guess we'll kind of see whether that paradigm plays in here.
I don't know if I should talk about it. Some have been defrauded, others are associated, and most are plain embarrassed. But I don't want to
chat, can you let me know if this is loud enough, by the way?
Here, have a drink.
A drink?
Yup. Start at the beginning.
Thanks.
Coffeezilla's gone up in production quality, clearly. Good lord. In Night City, you can get served by a robot. Is that the copium?
It started 2 months ago.
Alright, so 2 months ago. What happened 2 months ago?
Hello, this is Coffeezilla.
I know who you are, and I've got something for you.
Yeah, chat, please let me know if the audio levels are okay, because I've just
Well,
fiddled
this is
around
for
with the audio
sure
before the
lie.
stream, so I need to know if it's going
There's
okay.
no way you look that cool.
Oh, hold up a second. Hold up a second. Completely out of context to anything going on. But let's just take a moment to appreciate that mustache. Listen, if I'm going to pay attention to anything, if I believe that something is going to be trustworthy, that is a trustworthy mustache right there. This gentleman, this squire, nay, this sophisticated individual, nothing that comes out of this robot's artificial mouth voice box thing would ever be a lie. Not with a mustache like that. Also, he kind of big, he kind of tight, he kind of buff, he kind of beefy.
Sure a lie. There's no way you look that cool.
Okay, maybe I exaggerated the setting a bit, but I did get a call.
So, from experience, and I'm going to make a bit of a guess here, drama that coincides with content creators usually reverts to one of two things. People cheating in video games and claiming fame from it, a la Carl Jobst style, or it's some kind of monetary scam where they have some kind of merchandise or there's some kind of collaboration and it's being used to take advantage of people. Look with the whole charity thing that's been going on recently with the, I can't remember the name of them, but they basically did a charity thing and they pocketed all of the money. One of those things, right? So I guess we'll see which parallel this falls into.
I've got a scam for you. It's called Revolt. Huge influencers, lies, people haven't been
I like to think that I'm pretty twigged onto the content creation sphere.
Not sure.
Usually because I listen to Moist Critical.
Still hasn't shipped. You interested?
Yeah, can I source you?
Why is your camera out of focus? Oh, thank you.
Now this sounds more like the coffee I know.
Yeah, you're missing the point. After getting this call and finishing my very important business, I started digging around. But the same word kept cropping up.
Coffeezilla, as a suggestion, and I know you're good at cinematography, but can I recommend not having an epileptic-inducing strobe light in the background, please, next time? Thanks!
So you have heard of Revolt.
Also, he has more bloom in these shots than a friggin' J.J. Abrams movie. Good lord! I'm gonna have to wear sunglasses. In fact, you know what? There we go. Now I'm ready to watch this.
No, keep it anonymous.
Ah, yes. Perfect movie.
Info, but how do you feel about going public?
Very cinematography, much camera angle, very good composition.
Keep me anonymous, please.
Yeah, I can keep you anonymous, sure.
This has...
I was hitting a wall.
This is on a similar editing level as a typical Dr. Disrespect
little by little,
stream.
Though, a picture emerged. Not fully on the record, not fully off. The voices of more than a dozen anonymous calls complaining about this one merch company, Revolt, run by a guy named Ryan Piacente.
Okay, I have no idea anything about this, so we're all going to be learning from scratch. We're all on the same level here.
Group. And believe me, they'll
Wait,
be
YouTuber
involved
group?
later. The point is...
Okay, I'm going to be about $1.50. I honestly find that people put way too much weight and effort into teams. Now, why do people like teams? Why do people like organizations? Because they give off the facade of coordination, of structure, and if there's anything that content creators and freelancers lack, it is structure. People who get into content creation and that kind of jazz usually are doing it for the first time. They're usually quite new to the whole spectrum. And when you're a new content creator, when you're a new freelancer, you don't know how to structure your time. You don't know how to manage yourself. You struggle setting yourself precedences. So when you have organizations, when you have teams that offer you positions, it's an opportunity for you to have other people take the load for you, or at least a good team should do that. And a good team does usually do that. The problem is, the teams are often a reflection of management, and management doesn't always have the most honest intentions for the people on their teams. I personally have been part of teams in the past where I have been taken advantage of, where it's more of a all-for-one kind of thing, where the management see the streamers, content creators as assets as opposed to actual collaborative means, where in a team, in an organization, it should be an even split where management help the streamers help the management. It's a give and take kind of scenario. In a good team, the streamers give publicity, they bring eyes to that team, they perform and expose that team's name, their reflection of that team, and the management are there to help organize them, to help do that as best possible. A well-oiled machine is what makes a good team. But as we're probably going to find, this is probably going to be one of those teams that took advantage of their streamers. And I can almost guarantee you, and I'm going to make a prediction, I'm going to say that the management got their streamers to do something incredulous, maybe even swindle some people, and then when push came to shove, put all the blame onto the streamers, because by using the streamers to do the scamming, they have that degree of separation to say, but it wasn't us that did the scamming. No, it was the streamers and content creators that scammed you. Oh yeah, we told them to do it, but they were the ones who scammed you.
I was hearing about this merch company, Revolt, and everyone said in 2019 through 2021, it was extremely successful, working with everyone. And of course, in exchange for this success,
sounds like Ubu
Revolt
Market
was
and
happy to
VTubers.
take a cut of each of these merch drops. In fact, I obtained some of Revolt's sales numbers from 2021, showing how much only 5 of their drops made.
What?
20 million in revenue. I mean,
dude, I'd be lucky if I make $20 from my merchandise.
Privacy made $12 million. Revolt, for their cut, should have made $4 million.
Man, I really gotta get some merch at some
mystery.
point.
How do you screw up such a business making so much money?
That's what I wanted to find out. Problem was...
Chat, is the audio levels okay, by the way? I need a yes or a no.
You have
Can you hear
nothing,
me? Can you hear the video well?
Rumors, innuendo, maybe.
I want to know, is that an actual robot or is it
No,
CG?
that's the thing that kills me
I'm
about
pretty
the
sure
story.
it's CG.
Most of the creators did talk. Employees talked. Everyone behind the scenes, they couldn't stop talking. This is why I'm struggling with this story. If it was just off the record, I'd kill it. If everyone was on the record...
It's an easy story.
Right.
Yeah,
but
it's CG.
not
That's
even-
definitely CG.
I'm in limbo.
Well, let's just get to what the accusations are then. Anonymously.
I love these kind of videos
just
that add
getting
in these like
As I was saying, Revolt made huge
artistic
profits,
elements to them.
massive
The
merch
CG
profits,
stuff just makes it
but
so
there was
cool.
another
And it's really
side
well
of
done
it.
too.
Ryan
Pretty sure it's all done in Unreal, judging by the friggin' bloom effects.
Piacente had a spending problem. He took 6 private jet trips in a month.
What?
Thousands of dollars every night.
Dude, I can barely afford a private car, let alone a private jet. You know what this is like? This seems like it's going to be following the tropes of a typical absolute power corrupts absolutely mantra. Someone who starts an organization, probably with the good intent, got some success with their company, realized they had disposable income, and because they had bad spending habits and all of a sudden actually had disposable money, they then probably had no resistance on actually spending it all, and then got addicted to spending lots of money. You know, they got addicted to the lifestyle that got thrown in them. Like, those who are unprepared for, like, people always think that having lots of money is going to be easy and it'll solve all your problems. But having lots of money doesn't actually make life easy for you. If anything, it makes it harder because then you've got to manage that money. Unless, so there's a funny metric, and I'm going to make this like compare this chart, because most people, so let's just say wealth. This is wealth on the side on the left here, and time down the bottom. Let's just say that these are metrics. Most people will earn roughly the same amount of time. You know, this is kind of the average wealth. This is the average wealth line right here. So most people are going to be kind of straddling that line, in and around. This is the average person, the average Tom, Dick, and Joe. So normally people who are around this line, they have consistency because they know they're either under it or over it. They don't have to worry. They don't have to necessarily worry about managing things because they're within the normality. But when you get these exemplars that kind of go outside of that, there comes two issues. There comes a point of two parallels. You are either somebody who is so wealthy that even if you have bad spending habits, you're never gonna have to worry or consider overspending. But this metric, this level of wealth right here, this is what they refer to as the 1%. People who have more money than anything on the planet. But to get to this point, it's just unfeasible. No, barely anyone ever gets this far. So what ends up happening is the people who are between these two lines are going to be more of a struggle than the two lines at the top. So anyone who's in this chunk right here, they're going to have more problems and more worries than the people down here or the people up here. And I say this again, the people down here don't have to worry because their life is consistent. They are in the same boat as everyone else. They know what their day-to-day routine is. These people up here have already been at the top. They know they have all this money. There is a definitive... Eventually, having so much money becomes a diminishing returns kind of thing. Like, eventually, like, if you have $1 million, 1 million, having... Okay, a better example. Having $100,000 is a lot of money. Having $1 million is leaps and bounds more, and you can do a lot with that money. But if you have $10 million versus $50 million, there isn't much more you can do with that $50 million that you wouldn't be able to do with the $10 million. And likewise, it gets infinitely more diminished the higher up the wealth bar you go. So if you have $1 billion versus $2 billion, well, a billion, like, you're never going to really spend $2 billion in a lifetime, even if you spent $1 million a day. So what ends up happening is when you have people who transition from this lower graph to the higher graph, the people in this bar don't usually have very healthy spending habits. They are unused to not being either up here or down here. So when somebody who has gone from being in the average to who then starts going up into the upper echelons of wealth, they are not conditioned to handle that kind of wealth. So all of a sudden they get a splash of cash, they get a taste of what it's like to have disposable income, and that will trigger these unhealthy mental habits to start either spending the money in unhealthy ways and diminutive ways, and all of a sudden this person who has started going up in wealth because of their unhealthy spending habits then suddenly would have started descending again. And what I'm assuming is going to be happening here is somebody who has started with nothing, has ended up with a lot, wasn't mentally prepared for it, ruins it for themselves, but by proxy puts it on the people that made them the money to begin with. And I realize that's a very roundabout way, but that's my analysis mind looking at it.
On dinner. We have receipts for, by the way. They spent
Hello, Sugar.
$25,000 a week to rent a mansion in LA.
25,000!
And they rented a
My point
Ferrari
proven.
for $20,000
My point proven.
for a week.
Because you can
But the
guarantee,
thing was,
you can guarantee that person would not have even considered doing that, wouldn't have had the mental acclimation to have done that if they were still down here. When they don't have the means, they don't have the need. But when they have the means, those spending habits become very hard to control. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing here. So I guess that's going to be the case of... I guess what I'm saying is this looks like it's going to be what that right there looks like it's going to be the crux of this entire drama, if you will.
It wasn't really
scam.
Ryan footing the bill.
I guess we'll see.
It was actually
Revolt.
right. Even as this company's raking in money,
Blame shifting.
hand
Blame
over
shifting.
fist, they were spending more than they could afford, which was brought up to Ryan as a problem.
So why aren't
It
you
seems like
immediate?
every year we get a story like
He
this.
spends money like a way. Did you always spend?
Of course, you got the
I've always spent
friggin'
money
play
I mean,
buttons on the
The thing
side.
with money is I like to be able to provide that experience to everybody. So a lot of the money that I spend is actually on other people.
And that's another thing. People, so something that tends to happen with people who were social outcasts at a younger age is when people who are social outcasts get money, they use that money to substitute friendship. They use that money to buy friendship. They use that money to make people think more of them because they spent so long of not having that kind of attention. And when you have that money and you have that kind of attention, you're finally feeling that serotonin and dopamine of having people like you because even though you know it's for your money, you want to keep that kind of attention going. You want people to keep liking you. So even though you could possibly afford it for a little while, all of a sudden the money starts drying up and you realize you can't keep spending that money and you become very self-conscious that you're going to be very self-conscious that these people might not like you because you don't have the money anymore. So you then start taking bad financial decisions to keep those people as your friends, even though it might be a consequence of the people that have got you that money to begin with.
most part because I'm just like, F yeah, let's do it.
And
let's
I don't want to be stereotyped.
Yikes.
A stereotype here,
So they
but
just
he does look like
spent
the
it
sort.
all? Is that it?
I can kind of
Is
predict
that
this.
the scam?
No. You're getting ahead of me. Look, mind topping me off?
At the end of the day, if you have the means to, by all means,
Spill
no
the
one's going to
beans.
deny that in the world we
So
live
what
in, money
else?
can't buy happiness, because it totally
Well,
can.
the
It can
spinning
buy
part was
things
just the
that will
start.
make people happy.
At this point,
That's the world we
Ryan's
live in.
plan was described to me by a source who knew him.
Okay, hi, Sinner.
As
Daisy, thank you for the
Creator
resub.
A does a drop. Ryan would then spend a large chunk of that on private jets, Nobu, Balenciaga.
Ooh,
and then Creator
that's so-
B
ooh.
does a drop, but
I mean, guys, it's illegal. It's not illegal, it's just immoral. Immorality does not equate to illegality. However, they do tend to breath the same threshold. Like, eventually, if you do something so immoral, yes, it will probably breach that line of illegal, but you'd have to be doing a lot of very immoral things to get to that threshold.
Creator A still owed money. And so Ryan pays
the
Creator
smart
A
people are the
with
people who,
Creator B's money. Ponzi, if you
Oh,
ask me.
that's so
But the
scummy.
key here is that this works as long as each merch drop is bigger than the last. You can keep paying for it.
Ooh.
But Revolt was starting to have issues.
That's a
According to
self-fulfilling
former
prophecy.
employees, Revolt had terrible
That's
logistics
just
experience,
destined for
which
failure.
is okay when you sell 400 units, but when
You could
sell
almost quantify this as
40,000
a
in
drug
one
addict
day,
problem.
that's a
Always
problem.
gotta get that bigger hit,
Not only
baby.
that, Revolt is starting to pull in bigger and bigger talent, and these influencers are demanding bigger and bigger minimum guarantees. Ryan agrees, but things aren't like before. Some of those merch drops underperform. Now Revolt owes money not just to minimum guarantees,
they had
but
Mr.
also
Beast
were
in there as
counting on
well?
these new merch drops to pay their older clients. So they start delaying payments.
Ah, here we go.
Ooh.
That's right. For the first time,
At what point do they just
started actually
stop?
posting about
Like,
their
at some point,
experience
you just have to
off
stop,
the
right?
record publicly.
Like,
Honestly, it's actually
in a logical mindset, if you're unable to pay the people that are helping you get money to begin with, surely the priority should be to stop taking private jets. Now, as somebody who has some slight psych training, it's hard to uncondition that has been conditioned. People enjoy what they enjoy. And when you've become accustomed to a high threshold lifestyle, you don't want to go back to what it was. So even if it's at the detriment of other people, you will keep doing that until the last minute. Like, and it is the epitome of addiction. Money is as much of a drug as any narcotic is. And I think this is really an evidence of that, and we're probably going to see more of the addiction later.
T-shirt, like in a chill way.
Thank you. We're not going to talk about the company I made it with because they stole everything from me.
So, okay, like I get they're a bad company. Can you put me on their send
And
list,
there's a whole
please? Just
sentiment
like for
here
everyone.
about those who have
I'll take all
little
that.
appreciate
Dude,
it
I'm
more.
not sure
Those who
anyone
have a
will ever
lot
make much
will always
yeah,
want a lot.
Recently.
It was finally happening. Big creators had started to talk about revolt. Carl Jacobs said they're the worst people ever that just blatantly lie. Smosh founder.
I want to make a bit of a parallel, or at least a comparison here. I've had very similar experiences with Uwu Market. If you don't know who Uwu Market is, they're a merchandise branding company that deals specifically with VTubers. I'm seeing a lot of parallels with how that company function.
Anthony Padilla says Revolt still hasn't
Not as
paid
bad,
me.
mind
It's
you, but
been months.
Uwu has
Now,
just
I
as
should
many
say,
issues,
for
apparently.
the record, that he eventually got his issue resolved. But underneath his
Like
post,
every other week I see
another
somebody
creator
complaining about
posted,
Uwu.
Niachu saying they haven't paid me either. Now, I called her.
Hi, dog.
I am Nikki Niachu. I'm a Twitch streamer, and
Yo,
Revolt
for real?
owes me
Just like me.
$300,000.
That's so hard
I-
to hear. That's so
I know.
unbelievable.
And it wasn't just her not getting paid. She explained that also people who ordered from her, some of them didn't even get their order.
Also, slight sidetrack, I've just noticed they're using a camera effect to make the entire area look less CG. I'm sorry, that's like the animator in me. You can see they're using a blur effect, and it's to make the robot look less like it's made of CG. It's a funny little trick you can do to kind of bridge the gap between the live action and the CG.
She explained that also people who
That's
ordered
funny
from
and
her,
cute.
some of them didn't even get their order.
After everything was
I don't know,
shipped,
guys. I think if you
first
order
of all, a
something
lot of
and you
people
pay
in Europe
money
didn't
for it, you should get
their-
it, right?
Didn't get their merch. And I messaged them about it, and they said, yeah, we'll look into it. Never did. A lot of my friends who bought merch never received it.
Yeah,
To
that
this
doesn't seem
date,
good. That doesn't seem good.
These orders, which were in 2022.
Like when I
Yes.
order
Not been
order a
received.
double cheese
Yes.
mac from
Now, as bad as that sounds,
Big Mac
as I looked
Incorporated,
closer,
I
realized
want a
this
double
was
cheese
common,
Mac.
Really common.
I don't want to then
Delays,
get a plate
missing
of
orders.
nothing.
Sometimes
I
the
paid
order
money for
would
that.
just be wrong, like when they sent out
Goods
a pin
and
collection, but
services.
forgot the pins. Now, because of this, an insider at Revolt told me that in December of 21, they had over 100,000 customer support tickets open for quality issues.
Yeah, I don't think that's the sign of a good company, if you ask me. I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's obviously a diminishing. There's obviously a certain amount. Like, there's an acceptable amount of, you know, there's an acceptable amount of issues you can expect to have. Like, it's acceptable loss. It's expected damages. Like, no matter what you do, there's always going to be misprints, damages, that kind of stuff. But that's always a percentage. It's always a certain level comparative to what you're producing. If you're putting out 1 million shirts, for example, you know, you can probably expect maybe 10, 20, 30, a very minute percentage of those might have problems because maybe they fell off the line, maybe Mr. Beast decided to take a shit on them whilst they were on the production line, maybe I went in there and ate them. Who knows? But shit happens. But you don't expect 100,000 to be broken. I mean, it depends on the
and items not being shipped. And that gets us to the good part.
I mean, 100,000 for any company is going to be a lot.
In a world where common sense takes a backseat and physics is just a suggestion, comes
Is this
a
an
movie
ad?
that punches logic in the face.
Are you ready for best pizza of life? Bring friends down to Pepperoni Hug Spot. Our chefs make pizza with heart and special touch.
Is this part of the video?
Tired of watching low effort content? Then
Yes!
come on down.
I watch my own content just to feel better about yours.
If you support high effort investigations,
Hey, basketball,
you also
thank you for
get
the
all
buy.
these perks. But wait, there's more. Imagine your name up in lights. It's
I'm just gonna skip this. That sounded like an ad.
Okay, where were we? Can I get another drink, actually?
Yeah, I'll pour you another one.
Thanks. Remember
Where's
that
that drink coming
insider
from?
document I showed you earlier?
Yo, I want I want a robot to serve me a
What I
drink.
didn't tell you is that it was all part of a pitch deck for Mr. Beast.
Oh wait, no, that is the world we live in.
Ryan had met Jimmy, and he
Gotta
wanted
go
to
to
convince
Japan to
him
get served
work
by
with
robots.
Revolt. So he creates this pitch deck. You've seen the other creator sales numbers, but there were also ideas for Mr. Beast in there, like NFTs you could redeem for merch, and there were also some
Like, here's
financial
the thing.
protections.
How do you fuck up having Mr. Beast, literally one of the most profitable people in the freaking world? How do you have Mr. Beast as part of a product drop and you still f it up? Like, you would really have to be trying. Like, if you attach Mr. Beast to anything, you're guaranteed that there's going to be millions of dollars involved. Guaranteed. Like, that dude literally prints money no matter what he puts his name to. Like,
On their
they would
first drop
really
together,
have to be
Revolt
doing some
claimed Mr.
scummy
Beast
stuff to get
would
this,
make $4
to get this,
million
to be able to fall this way.
across 3 years,
Mr. Beast
$50
burgers.
million in annual
Yeah, but that
profit.
wasn't Mr. Beast that was
There's
the
no
problem.
way.
That's
You
what
remember
I
that? You remember when I said that sometimes sometimes it's the creator is the victim? Yeah, in that situation, Mr. Beast was the victim. He sued Mr. Beast Burger because they were misrepresenting his quality. Thank you for that follow.
Maybe the team was delusional enough to think it was possible, though.
I mean, yes,
So
it
I
does
asked.
happen, obviously.
According to insiders at the company, they actually met Jimmy and started
Hey, Meeple,
discussing
welcome.
minimum guarantees and how Revolt would 10x his merch business over the next 2 years. But check this out.
Okay,
This being
so this is one of those things. It's a risk-reward thing. If you are approaching somebody as big as Mr. Beast, you better be damn well sure that you have a business proposition that matches his level of notoriety. If you are going up to someone who has literally multi-million audience, you want to make sure that what you are presenting them is going to be beneficial to both sides. That it is going to be worth his time as well as yours. And it wilds me out that you take, like, it feels like it was a let's make some money now at their expense versus let's make a lot of money in the long run. Like, they want some of the money now rather than all of the money in the future. It's just getting that money now comes at the expense of their professionality in the short term and their relationship with who they work with.
possible was
Cash grab.
openly
Cash grab.
discussed by the Revolt.
Cash grab now rather than investment for the
no.
future.
They knew?
Yeah. And this is where things go from bad to worse. So Mr. Beast gets this minimum guarantee deal to do his 100 million subscriber collection with Revolt, right? But Revolt doesn't sell like they claimed they would. It does revenue way below expected, meaning Revolt didn't hit their minimum guarantee.
So what do they do?
Well, this is where things dip into fraud, right? Our insider says,
Did they
I
fudge the
assume this is
numbers?
when they decided to increase cost of goods. Meaning Revolt charged Mr. Beast more for every item of clothing than he was actually paying for at the factory.
Ooh, that's so scummy.
That's a pretty huge accusation.
And Mr. Beast,
Where's
he's
the
like one of the most philanthropic
question
people you'd
exactly.
ever meet. Imagine trying to
got sent
scam
this.
Mr. Beast.
What exactly am I looking at here?
What I just sent you is the pricing sheet from the Chinese factory, top left. You can see the invoice item says
Of course it's China.
RVLT.
Of course it's China. Because when you really want to make sure that you're penny and diming everyone, of course you put it to a sweatshop in China.
Volt, MRB, Mr. Beast. There's unit order sizes and prices.
And what are these ink marks?
That's where changes were made. See, somebody wrote down.
Okay,
next
hold
to
on,
the
hold
fact-
on. 930 up to 1280. That's about a 25%. They just upped the price by 25% on each of them. Or did they? I think they just slapped. No, it is. It's about a 25% increase on each of
factory
them.
prices, new prices.
So they
higher
basically said to them,
prices.
okay, Mr. Beast, we know what you were worth.
Talk
We know
to
how
Mr.
much money we
Beast about
wanted to
this?
make from you, but we're greedy, so we want to
On
make
the record,
25%
but I
more
confirmed
at
that
your
Revolt
expense.
charged higher prices to their team, like it says in ink. Revolt charged
I mean,
more per item.
It's not out of the question for wanting to make money out of a deal like this. That's the point. The point is, and it's what I mentioned earlier, both sides of a collaborative thing like this need to make money. But it's important that it's comparative and it's fair for both sides. Having a company that then takes an extra 25% without plausible reason and authenticity, I feel sorry that Mr. Beast had to deal with this again.
Then they were actually paying the Chinese factories, according to their own insiders.
Who else did this happen to?
That's the thing, we don't know. I asked around, and the closest I got was an answer from a former employee This person claims right as I was exiting the business, he started talking about that. The production manager said she could get the factories to write
Yeah,
whatever
it's
she
the ultimate
wanted
form
on
of having their cake and goddamn
it's
eating it.
definitely possible this happened more.
Thing is,
it's hard to say. What I do know,
and I'm gonna use my amazing paint skills again. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this metric, but on the left here we have fuck around. And down the bottom here, we have find out. Now, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. So the more you keep trying to take, inevitably and correlatively, the more you're going to find out. But if you don't fuck around as much, you're not going to have to find out as much. And there comes a threshold in this fuck around and find out chart where the more you fuck around, the more likely you are to find out. Yeah. And that just seems like what this company did. They kept fucking around until they found out.
is when the money ran out, it all fell apart.
I wonder if
What do
they've
you
actually
mean?
faced legal ramifications from this.
The merch business has a lot of middlemen. People who create the shirts, warehouses, store it, fulfillment
And
centers.
that's what I was talking about earlier, shift blaming. I guarantee you that the only people who will face legal ramification from this are the streamers, content creators, and the middle people. I guarantee you that the main company will not face any legal problems from this whatsoever. Because you create a level of disparity, you create a level of separation between you and the legality that you caused.
The thing is, Ryan was running out of money for all of it.
How though? How do you...
What is this? Misfits merch company going under. Earlier this year, the Salvation Army Arc.
The thing is, this was destined for success. If they weren't greedy. Like, you had so much going for you. And the only reason this failed that I can see is because greed.
Coming out about the Misfits quietly shutting down, it makes sense that they were selling and donating old stock.
They donated it?
Basically, from what I heard, the storage fees weren't paid on time to the fulfillment center, so they donated people's clothing to get rid of it. So not only are people not getting their
Yo guys, I gotta really go check out my local Goodwill to see if I can find some of this merch. I could do with me some of that, some of those sweet hoodies.
merch on time, some of it is literally randomly sitting on eBay because Revolt didn't pay their bills on time.
I assume you reached out to Ryan.
Okay, that bit text at the bottom just reminded me of something. No matter what, whenever you watch videos like this, you have to understand that there's a level of pretext. Like, this is obviously based off of analysis and somebody's bias. Obviously facts are facts, but the way it's presented, you always have to take with a grain of salt. Like, even the most drama-ridden thing, they're designed to get clicks, they're designed to elicit a response, they're designed to get you to go, wow, oh wow, these guys are really that bad. But until you actually do the research and find out for yourself, you always have to take whatever these kind of videos show you with a certain level of satire. But it's still interesting to see the way this kind of stuff is presented, because obviously this stuff has happened, there's evidence that it's happened. But as to the level of degree and the level of issues, it's always down to subjectivity.
Piacente about all this, though, right?
Yeah, multiple times. And we might have talked, but he ghosted me when the next wave of accusations came.
Yes,
time to go public
the sign of somebody who is very, very innocent.
Did you say there's
The second you
more
avoid
accusations?
answering questions.
But I mean, the thing with money is I like to be able to provide that experience to everybody. So a lot of the money that I spend is actually on other people for the most part, because I'm just like, yeah, let's do it. Like, let's have fun.
You're a psychopath. Actually, or maybe a sociopath.
Okay. So the simple thing that could have solved this was differentiate between business and personal. Your personal life should not be funded by your business. You should be earning money from your business that you use for your personal. Your business funds are not your personal funds. Your business funds are for your business. There was clearly no separation here. And as I said at the beginning of the stream, or video, sorry, a lot of freelancers, a lot of people who get into this kind of content creator work who've never worked in a typical 9-to-5 job that's been organized before, don't have those managerial skills. And I think this is another very evident sign of somebody who never worked a regular job, who got into this industry with no experience and no professionality, and just used that to push themselves forwards. Thank you for the tier 3.
The
differences. Operational.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it, Leo.
How in the fuck did it not break apart? That is deeply unsatisfying.
A predator? Oh, of course, of course. It always comes back to that. Every drama has some kind of sex allegation and scandal to it.
Made it also a case of YouTube's own version of Harvey Weinstein. And I don't mean to say that to exaggerate.
Every time there's this drama, somebody always has to come out and be a sex pest.
I do say it to
always.
Convey the
In
seriousness,
every drama.
similarities, and signal that the following
Like you see some drama on the internet, oh, who's going to be accused of being a sex pest today?
A little too graphic. I understand if you need to click off the video. We normally don't cover these types of allegations. However,
all right, let's hear it. Look, with this far in the video, we might as well hear it.
Found this halfway through the investigation. We couldn't ignore it. See, it all started last year when there was a serious allegation about Ryan Piacente being a predator. It was made by an insider at...
I mean, in the defense, innocent until proven guilty. Sometimes people will just try and do a smear campaign. But, like, this happens in the VTube sphere all the time, and it's one of the reasons I find the VTube space to be incredibly childish and petty, is that somebody does something stupid. And this happened not even just the VTube space, but all over the place. I say the VTube space because it happens more frequently by comparison to its audience. Anytime a drama happens, you can almost be guaranteed if the drama is big enough, someone will then add on an accusation to get themselves into the fold, whether it's to eke out some clout, whether it's to try and spur the fire, whatever. And usually that comes down to, oh, this person's a sex pest. Why do they use sex pest or a predator as an accusation? Because it's one of the most easily immiscible things. It is very hard to defend being called a sex pest because it comes off hearsay. And there's a lot of, like, psychological spirals that people will do. Prime example was when Tobuscus got accused of being a sex pest. Was he a sex pest? There was evidence showing that he was. But was he as bad of a sex pest as what he was being accused? No. There was a lot of evidence showing that a lot of the people who were jumping onto that were accusing him of it because everyone else was. It's a smear campaign. People will say things with no admissible evidence. And I feel like whenever you have drama like this, whenever drama becomes big enough, there will always be people who are less than authentic, people who are very bad actors, who are just trying to either fan the fire or just trying to jump on for some easy clout for themselves. And I see this all the time in content creation. I see it all the time in the VTube space. I see it all the time in life. It just happens that on the internet, people have the power of anonymity to make these accusations without having to worry about repercussions for themselves. Unless you're a random 4chan troll who gets the police called on you and then you get arrested, in which case, fuck you!
The Misfits, the YouTubers that Ryan managed, and this guy went by Packet. These allegations range from being coerced into inappropriate acts, witnessing Ryan perv on his employees in the shower, break into clients' phones to search for private photos, take advantage of men who he is...
And okay, not to defend anything in this nature, but what I see a lot of the time when people want to jump on something like this is they'll take a simple, really innocent act of, like, a joke, if you will. Like saying, yo, my friend has the biggest hits. In a regular conversation, that's like just a funny haha. Like, yeah, true, dude, true and real. But when that comment's made, it sits in the back of the person's mind. And all of a sudden, later, that person gets into drama. And then this person who heard that joke, who was at the time, yeah, haha, true, bro, true, is like, actually, that sounded kind of pervy. Let me use that as evidence as to why this person is also bad. All of a sudden, because it's contextual, they use that as a fan for their own narcissism, when in reality it was something that, like, it's situationally driven, egotistic and narcissistic drama that wouldn't have been drama any other time, and only became drama and added to the drama because it was advantageous for them. I'm sure you could, I may not be articulating this in the best way possible, but I'm sure it makes sense. It makes sense in my head, at least.
Is given
no, Leo, this ain't drama, dude. We're
and a lot more. Now,
looking into a scandal that was on the internet recently.
At the start of me investigating, there wasn't much in the way of proof. The only thing verifiable was that Ryan encouraged others to get trashed, which we know because the Misfits themselves.
But judging from everything happening here, it does seem like there was some shenanigans. I'm not saying that they didn't. I'm just saying that tends to be what happens in these situations.
He's just the one encouraging everyone else to.
Yeah.
Now, besides this
Dude,
piece
that
of
side
evidence,
eye.
there wasn't much else in the way of corroborating
Chat,
evidence
you didn't do anything
until
cringe, right?
October, when 2 more stories came out that had very similar stories to the original, and I knew we had to take them very seriously. In one story, a guy who was between 18 and 19 was told by Ryan, quote, he saw potential in me before being assaulted in the shower. The other guy was in their early 20s and tells a story of how he was invited to a party with the Misfits, a YouTuber group he liked. But in order to get in the house, he was forced to inhale a substance as a condition of entry. Later, extremely intoxicated, he was...
So, situationally, if that was at a university or a frat house, no one would bat an eyelid. But because this is in the context of something professional and in this sort of paradigm, this like hyperbolic situation, all of a sudden it becomes a problem. I mean, I get that people have trauma and maybe they didn't want to have had that happen, but because it's in this situation, this is now drama, or a problem, sorry. If it was in a frat house, it would have gone under the rug. Again, situation matters, context matters. And it's funny how the it's weird. It weirds me out how things only become a problem and get spoken up about when the context changes, I guess.
He was also assaulted by Ryan Piacente in
Obviously,
the shower.
assault is assault.
Now, let me remind you.
No, I'm not trying to deface that at all.
But let me also tell you
it's always that like
4
muddy
other
middle
people have
ground
come
of how
forward
things
who
shift
know Ryan
depending on
and
the situation.
corroborated his character. One person says, "One day I'll tell my Ryan P story, but for now I'll just say this: this rabbit hole goes deep. This person has been abusing."
Man, I don't like that. I don't like when this kind of stuff goes out into the public. Like, starting a conversation with one day I'll tell my Ryan P story, but for now I'll just say this. You either want to speak the truth or you don't. That, to me, kind of just says that they're trying to jump on the bandwagon without committing to it.
His power and money for years, the trail of victims that follow this man is staggering. Another says, "I've known Ryan since we were 16. He was always
And isn't it always like, again, this is the kind of smear campaign and drama jumping that I see so much in the content creation sphere. No one's willing to talk until other people have talked already. Like, I get it. Sometimes you want to wait for everyone else to talk, but I don't know. And this kind of stuff always wilds me out. And if it's going to be that important, like, there are other ways to do it that don't make you seem like you're trying to just jump on people for attention, I guess.
From the start.
I don't know, maybe I'm off base with this. I just find wording matters, and the way a lot of people word this kind of stuff just seems self-interested.
I've seen him do very questionable things. Yet another says Ryan P is a master manipulator. I myself was manipulated by him for far too long. But that's not all. That's just what's public. Behind the scenes, I began to receive
like, I'm not trying to diminish
One guy told me
people's
Ryan
trauma.
offered to fly him out and give him $5,000 to cover work. He showed me
I'm just trying to. I try and look at
his
this kind of
payment
stuff,
from
and I see it. I see some people who are less authentic with the way they're trying to present
But
themselves.
when I went to the bathroom, he followed me, and without going into detail, assaulted me when I clearly was extremely uncomfortable. Now, this story specifically has a
Yeah, this
thread
all
we're
seems
going
pretty
to
scummy.
follow, because there's numerous allegations Ryan would use money to coerce people into situations they wouldn't otherwise do, like paying this guy $5,000 to come over for work.
I mean, if there's
Or, more
evidence of this
commonly,
stuff
he'd
happening,
pay
then
creators
yeah,
who were struggling
dude deserves
for
to be, I don't know, shot out of a
explicit
cannon or
photos
thrown in jail or
themselves.
something.
People sent me emails. They'd
But
get
all I'm seeing at the moment
notifying
is a
them
lot of
Twitter DMs from Ryan,
hearsay
asking
and a
for
lot of
explicit photos, along with
he said, she said.
payments from Ryan. The reason I'm telling you about all this is not only that it demonstrates this behavior was happening and provides a financial paper trail, but some of it dovetails
Okay, so the
into
financial
fraud,
paper trail definitely
because
kind of leads
as
more
I
into
started
it.
asking for some of these financial documents, I found that Ryan would often not just pay people from
Hey, CJH,
personal
what's up, dude?
accounts. He would use business accounts to pay for these
Ah,
things. Specifically,
dude,
the
what did I say
Misfits
earlier about
business
separating your
account.
business from your
Remember,
personal?
That's the beloved YouTuber group people supported through Patreon,
I mean,
merch, through a
this
podcast.
evidently
Turns
seems
out
like
their
it was
company
never going to go
accounts
well
were
for
being
them.
used in part
You had somebody
to
who
pay
was
for
completely
explicit photos of some of the fans of the show.
unbalanced,
I was shown these payments.
who was
and the
clearly
question is,
very
why
immature.
even do this? To write it off your taxes? No matter the reason, this is like some weird form of fraud. It's not
Like,
the kind that
there's
I
some
normally
psych,
like to
there's
talk
some psych
about.
stuff happening here.
But
Nobody
who uses their
does like.
business account for this? We also need to talk about what
Maybe there was
happened
like a
in
flash in
April
the
of
pan thing. Maybe he was just trying to
2012,
enjoy it whilst he
when
could.
Ryan asked a fan, "Can we
Oh,
get
yeah, maybe
married?"
he was
When
just
she told
stupid.
him she was 16, he said, "Come back in 2 years," which would be when she was 18.
But 1 year later, Ryan reached back out, saying this, quote, I retweeted your selfie.
So, in context, when I said earlier evidence and stuff, this is the evidence I kind of mean. In this case, dude, this guy, the dude's very evidently guilty of so many things. I'm talking in general, when you see smear campaigns happening, when you see people getting into drama and whatever, always look for evidence before you jump onto a bandwagon. Always. Evidence matters more than anything else.
Do I get nudes? She replies, that's illegal. He says, quote, don't worry, I ain't no snitch.
Can somebody just edit over this with a surprised Pikachu face? What? He got arrested. He got accused of being a friggin' predator. What?
Now I asked the person
no
who gave
shit,
me these
Sherlock.
if she thought he was joking at the time. She responded, no, I think it was legit because it happened a lot on Snapchat. And he fully, tried to give me money to do it.
Man,
now,
that's
this
some
once
bullshit.
again corroborates the creepy behavior we've seen from Ryan Piacente in the past. So, for those of you who
Funny
have been
thing, to anyone
counting,
who's not
we
on the
now
internet,
have
this all just
5
seems so cringe.
independent accusations. Some anonymous,
Man, them
some
kids
fully
on the internet,
record.
am I
We
right,
have
guys?
multiple forms of evidence.
Man, that internet is a terrible place, right, guys?
Payment processing receipts, and we have 4 independent character testimonies from people who claim to know Ryan. Now, as always, I've tried to reach out to Ryan to get his side of the story 7 times over 2 months. And
I
have
will
gotten
say,
nothing
Coffeezilla is
in the
very
way
good
of
at getting the
explanation.
context
Last I heard,
and
he was
the
spotted
evidence
at an
in
airport,
place
and we have
point.
no idea of his whereabouts since. Now, this investigation has been exhausting, honestly, both emotionally.
Dude, I'm
and just
exhausted.
to
I haven't even
carry
listening
all
to
the
it. Good
details
lord.
in my heads of all the accusations, the whistleblowers. So I imagine for you, it's been kind of confusing as well. So I want to summarize.
I'm going to pause it one last time. I like watching these because it helps us understand that we are far better than people like this shithead. It helps us realize that in our little hyperbolic section of the internet, we are so much better. And you should always strive to be better than people like this. And that it isn't hard to be better than... It takes very little to understand when you're doing something wrong. It takes very little to be a nice human being that doesn't assault people, use money for bad reasons.
Don't.
And if you somehow end up like this, I'm sorry, you've only got yourself to blame. It's like the analogy I like to use is it only takes 8 muscles in your body to smile, but it takes 32 to frown. You have to put far more effort into being a shit than you do being a nice person.
2 sides to the story. We have Revolt the company and Misfits, a YouTuber group. In
I
one,
mean, hey, the internet
Ryan's
is a very
basically
low
accused of running
bar
a
to
Ponzi
kind of set
type
yourself
company
to,
where
and
he
yet people
spent too
still
much
fall
money
below
and
it.
needed bigger and bigger merch drops to pay off debts and minimum guarantees. When that didn't work, he resorted to faking invoices to creators like MrBeast to increase cost of goods, while being so bad at logistics that even when creators got paid, their fans received
I don't know,
their
dude,
merch
maybe I'm
late,
just too much
the
of a
wrong
millennial
merch,
for this
or
shit.
no merch at all. And occasionally, creators' merch would just get donated to charity, so that's fun too. And that's just part 1. Then
I mean,
you
good
have
for the
the
charity,
Misfits,
but not
where
good
Ryan
for the
used his
content creator who was
proximity
supposed to make
fame
money off
and
it.
money to abuse a series of guys and girls through a pattern of grooming, intoxication, and then assault, usually involving a shower. The damage this man has.
I look at the business side of things, and that's like, haha, funny, stupid person doing stupid shit. But the whole, so why do people with money and power have to then end up being pervy predators? I mean, there's a connection there that I could go into that's a psychological thing, and how money abates power and power gives the illusion of freedom. But the less said about that, the better. And good lord, I said at the beginning, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I think this is just a very evident example of that.
Has done is hard to calculate because it's not just a financial number on a spreadsheet. People have stopped creating content because of Ryan. Others have had mental health breakdowns.
I do hope he faces some legal ramification.
So no one else gets hurt.
The business side, he could offset as his business doing it. But when you sexually assault someone, that's you doing it, my dude. So I actually don't think he's going to face legal ramifications for the money. I do think, however, he's going to face legal ramifications for the assaulting and stuff, because that's you trying to think with your dick.
Thank you for watching,
thank you for the resub,
supporting through viewing, subscribing, checking out the Patreon.
Jeez.
I'm so indebted to this community, and I will see
Well,
you.
Coffeezilla, that was something. I don't normally like enamor myself with these kind of videos. I don't like to like associate myself to drama too heavily. But this kind of stuff, when it's related to content creation, when I'm able to put maybe a bit of my thought and foresight into it, because I have a very analytical mind, I love being able to maybe put in a little bit of my understanding to this kind of stuff. But when it's relevant to us, when it's in a sort of when it's within our like hyperbolic region, as it were, then I think it's worth talking about because it helps people understand. And really, all we've learned from this is shit. People are shit, and don't be a douche. Also, don't touch people without consent.